what would it be? Would it be kung fu or jujitsu or boxing?
Oh, that's another interesting. Um, how I actually fight is different to how I debate. By the way, it's completely different because I'm quite tall and I've got a long reach. So the way what would make sense for me is to keep the person away with a jab and these kinds of things, and then obviously I got a grappling background. So, however, I think with my debates, people don't realize that there's a lot of counter punching going on. Like, I think with you're a forward fighter. You go in, you don't really care if you take some punches along the way. I would for you, your fighting styles like the Mexican boxers. They come in, they take the punch, throwing punches around and stuff like that. And if you take a couple of punches here and there, which in this context would be like reputational damage, what they're going to say about you, it's almost like you don't care. It's almost like you're proud of it. For me, there is a bit of evasion going on. So I don't know. I think I would be. When I was young, I used to watch a lot of boxing, and the boxer that I used to watch a lot was Lennox Lewis.
Yeah.
He's the same height as I am, but he was probably the best heavyweight of his time. I would say he's the best heavyweight of his time. He was 6'6", and he had, I think, 83, 82 reach, and he used his jab very well, but he had strategic, acts of aggression, and he knocked out everybody that ever fought him. Like, there was two guys that beat him, and he beat them back, Hasib Rahman and another guy, I can't remember who it was. So I would like to think that I'm trying to kind of emulate that kind of model, where there is a bit of distance. There's a bit of distance, but then when it's time, there is also a finish, or the right hand or the right uppercut or something like that is there.
Yeah, I reviewed your latest conversation with Jordan Peterson that was released a couple of months ago, and
Yeah.
that definitely came out. I don't know if this is the best example of what you're describing, this kind of style of debate, but I felt like you were just biding your time, but at key moments, the jab came in or the uppercut came in, and it threw him off, and that's how he got some of the funniest memes of this year with what is the meaning of do,
Yeah.
what is the meaning of
Yeah.
you. So
Yeah.
let's talk about Jordan Peterson actually.
Yeah.
So how were these interviews set up, basically? Like, did his team contact you, and what were there any terms for this that you had to agree to?
There's a lot of stuff in the background that happens. Like, for me, I feel like when I have one of these big discussions with either Jordan Peterson, whoever it may be, David Wood, whoever it may be, I feel like I'm not just negotiating on behalf of myself. I feel like I'm negotiating on behalf of the community. I really do feel like that. And a lot of the decisions that are made on the terms and all these kind of things are usually in a shura group, which is headed by, for example, the head of Sapiens, which is Hamza Zultzis. So usually, he makes the final decision on certain things. I can have my opinion, but there's been a few times where I've had an opinion, and say, for example, Sabur Ahmed or Hamza Zultzis or other friends of mine, Ali Dawa, Zishan Ali, and others, have said, no, this is not the right way. And I usually take the view of the Shura group, because if they're saying something and I'm saying something, and so there was a back and forth in terms of negotiation, and how would it be, where will it be held, all these kind of things, and what there was a lot of discussion. In fact, if you think about it, there was a lot of discussion to make it even a possibility. There was a lot of discussion. And yes, he did actually approach me the second time around. I didn't approach him. And to be honest with you, especially in private, he was very humble and respectful. I have to be honest with you. And he showed a keen interest to learn about Islam. I have to be honest with you as well. And there's many things about the dawah that I thought, if I'm potentially his only source, or his only thing to Islam, or way to know it, or then I have to kind of be steady with my behavior, and I have to be emotionally on point, and notwithstanding, or especially considering the fact that he's double my age, quite literally. He's my mum's age, actually. He's about 60 years old. So there's all those things, He's a respected figure in his community. He's 60 years old. He's trying to look for Islam. Yes, and he has these connections with the Zionists. So that's where because my usual thing is, if someone has those connections, then they're usually a write-off in the beginning. I wouldn't even be speaking to them. The only kind of relationship I'd have with them is an antagonistic one. As many of the people would know, like with the many, things I've gotten in trouble for with the press, in the Palestine marches, I've been in major trouble, big trouble, violence with a dog. There was a dog that was going to come and attack me. And I said,
A Zionist dog?
it was a Zionist dog. We're not talking about the person. It was actually a dog. So these guys got an Alsatian dog to the protest.
Wow.
And then I said to the police officer, I said, if this dog comes for us, we're going to have to kill the dog, and then this is still being spoken about until this day. They say he threatened to kill a police dog. It wasn't a police dog. It was these guys. They brought a dog, and a dog in the UK is one of the biggest weapons you can have. You're legally allowed to have a dog. In my past, I've been bitten by a dog. I've been attacked by a dog. I know what a dog is. A dog is basically, you might as well bring a knife to the thing, because a dog can be actually more dangerous than a knife. So when they brought a dog to the protest, it was Muslims on one side, Palestinian, pretty much Muslims and Palestinian supporters on one side, and then you had the Zionists on the other, and there was a lot more Muslims. So these guys came with their dogs and stuff like that. And so I said to the police officer, listen, if they come over with the dog, I'm going to have to put down the dog, physically. Now, whether I would have been able to do that or not, that's another question. But, I did say that. And so, for example, something like that has come up and it's haunted me, or, it would haunt me, but I don't really care, to be honest with you. I've been on the Daily Mail, some of the main newspapers. They've accused me of being anti-Semitic. I've been on the BBC, questioned by these guys, anti-Semitic, all these kind of things. So I've always been there in terms of the protest scene when it comes to Palestine and stuff like that. And we've had a very antagonistic approach. But this time I thought, there is an opportunity here. And even now I'm thinking that. I made a video yesterday. I recorded it and it's up now, talking about the way I'm trying to navigate this, because Daily Wire has some of the top Zionists. We've got Ben Shapiro. We've got some other guys, which I don't know.
Matt Walsh.
Is he a Zionist as well? I don't know. He's more
hardcore Zionist. Yeah, Christian.
Is he? Yeah, maybe him. Yeah, but I don't know if he's known for that. Like, if he's good at debating the issue. And we've got our own debaters. We've got yourself. We've got Abdullah Andalusi. We've got these guys, and it would be amazing if we can get them. If we can get the two parties together. If we can get, the Zionists versus the pro-Palestinian supporters. There's enough of us and enough of them to make something big, to make big events. And for us to establish that, or to create that, I think there needs to be a level of diplomacy that I employ here, because for many years I've been just blasting Ben Shapiro, mocking him, ridiculing him, and these kind of things. But now I think we're edging towards, a confrontation between some of our guys and some of their guys, which would be fantastic, would be brilliant.
Has Ben Shapiro really debated like an experienced debater in his history, or it's mostly like he goes to a college campus and undergrads, like random undergrads, ask him questions?
That's what
I haven't seen him like.
It's really pathetic, because for someone who is meant to represent, like, a polemical edge, someone who's one of the main polemicists of the Zionist movement and probably the biggest voice, Zionist voice, he's never actually had a debate. Like, I remember back in the day, there was Christopher Hitchens and George Galloway. I'm not sure if you ever saw that debate. It was a classic debate. And both guys came to the ring and they were swinging, and most of, even atheists would say, because atheists, this guy, Christopher Hitchens, is seen as like one of their main, guys. They say that was the only debate he lost. George Galloway came on because it was to do with the Iraq issue. So there was a time where people weren't scared to debate. They would come and they would just, let their hands loose. However, unfortunately, with these Zionists, I think, they are, I don't want to put, how do I put this? They are reaffirming the stereotype that already exists, with Zionists. They're reaffirming, that stereotype of cowardice, and that you'll have someone else do the dirty work for you, and then, all that kind of thing. And I don't think it's fair for them that they reaffirm that stereotype. I think that they should come and show us that they are willing to fight and ready to fight, because here, I mean, obviously intellectually, because at the end of the day, why not? Well, if you really believe that Israel has a right to exist, or all those things that Netanyahu was saying in the podcast, and why not come out? And we've got many debaters in the Muslim. We have Daniel Haqiqatjou, we have Abdullah Andalusi. We have a lot of people that have debated this issue. Adnan Rashid, who have debated this issue in the past. and that'll be you'll be more than willing to debate these guys, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of
So I
course.
mean, we've got many guys. All of them are just ready, and there's no hesitation. But the issue is getting them to sign on the dotted line, and unfortunately, I don't think, even though we've got the connections with them, and even though we're sure that they're probably listening to me and you right now, they probably won't bat an eyelid, and they won't do anything about it because of their cowardice.
Yeah, I think we just have to keep the pressure on them, and at a certain point, like, they have to respond. Like, that basically we continue to do our work, put out the best arguments, put out the best videos and documentaries, and they will be forced to respond. And then, unlike them, we aren't afraid of a face-to-face confrontation, a face-to-face battle of the words, battle of the minds. They're the ones who have been shrinking away from it. So inshallah, that
Yes.
that will happen eventually.